On Mount Everest, rescuers looked at Beck Weathers and made a decision. They left him there to die in the freezing death zone. He had spent the entire night outside in a violent, endless blizzard, high above the world, where even standing still for minutes can kill. His face was frozen solid, his hands destroyed, his vision almost gone. To the rescuers who found him that morning, Beck Weathers was already dead. They turned around and walked away, leaving his body behind in the snow. But hours later, something impossible appeared through the white storm. The man they had left for dead was now walking back toward camp. This happened in May 1996 during one of Everest's deadliest disasters. 8 climbers would die on the mountain, and Beck should have been one. He was not a famous adventurer, just a doctor chasing a dangerous dream. But Beck had one hidden weakness that would nearly cost him everything. Years earlier, he had eye surgery that would later betray him on Everest. High on the mountain, his vision slowly began to completely fail him, and on summit day, it became far worse than anyone expected. Near 27,000 feet, Beck could barely see anything in front of him anymore. His guide told him to wait while others continued climbing toward the summit. The plan was simple: stay here, then descend safely together later. But on Everest, simple plans never stay simple for very long. Too many climbers crowded the route, and dangerous delays began building quickly. Precious hours slipped away as oxygen supplies dropped lower and lower. People grew weaker, slower, and the mountain prepared its next move. Then, suddenly, the storm hit without warning. A massive blizzard slammed into Everest, turning everything into instant chaos. Wind screamed across the ridge, and snow erased the entire climbing trail. Visibility vanished completely, and climbers could no longer see anything ahead. Beck was still up there, half blind, completely trapped inside the storm. Confusion turned into panic, and panic quickly turned into pure survival. Some climbers got lost. Others began running dangerously low on oxygen. One wrong step could send you falling into darkness forever. And then Beck became completely separated from the others around him. Now he was alone on Everest, inside a deadly, freezing blizzard, with failing vision and almost no chance of getting down alive. At some point, Beck lost his gloves during the freezing chaos. His hands were now bare in temperatures that destroy flesh within minutes. His body began shutting down as the brutal cold took over completely. Then Beck collapsed into the snow, unable to continue moving forward. And on Everest, when you lie down like that, it is over. By morning, he looked exactly like a frozen body in the death zone. When rescuers found him, they believed there was absolutely no hope left. He had been outside all night in completely impossible, deadly conditions. So they made the hardest decision they could possibly make that day. They left him there to die. Far away, his wife was told the worst possible and heartbreaking news. Beck Weathers would never be coming home again. That should have been the end of his story. But later that same day, something impossible happened on Everest. Beck Weathers woke up after being left for dead, on the mountain. Alone. Nearly blind. Frozen beyond what most humans could survive. His hands destroyed, his face frozen, his body barely still functioning. One thought slowly became clear inside his fading mind. If he stayed there any longer, he would die. So Beck did something no one thought was still possible anymore. He forced his broken, frozen body to stand up again. Imagine waking up on Everest after a full night in the open, your body destroyed, your vision almost completely gone forever. Everyone has already accepted the fact that you are dead, and still, you force your legs to move forward again. One painful step through the freezing, endless white storm. Then another slow step, refusing to stop or give up completely. Then another, pushing forward despite the pain and cold. Somewhere below, people in camp saw a strange figure in the storm. At first, they could not understand what they were actually seeing. It was Beck, the man they believed had already died earlier. He staggered toward camp like something not fully alive anymore, his face destroyed by cold, his body barely able to move. But somehow, Against all odds, he was still alive. They dragged him into a tent, barely believing what they had seen. Even then, some thought he would still die from his injuries, but Beck survived that too, against all expectations. Slowly, they began carefully moving him down the mountain to safety. At lower altitude, his mind slowly became clearer again. Eventually, he was rescued by helicopter in a near-impossible operation. Beck Weathers had somehow survived the deadliest mountain on Earth. But Everest did not let him leave whole or unchanged. The mountain took his right hand completely. It took fingers from his left hand as well. It took parts of both of his feet. And it destroyed much of his face, permanently. Beck lived, but Everest marked him forever in ways unimaginable. A man declared dead, abandoned in the death zone. A man left behind on the highest mountain on Earth. A man who somehow stood back up again, and walked out of death itself.